You stand at the summit, beloved soul, and the wind is cold. All those years of climbing, and now here you are. The view stretches before you, vast and indifferent. You expected something more solid. You expected the ground to hold you differently, to whisper some secret only winners know. But the peak is just another place. The applause comes. It always does. Hands clapping, voices rising, faces smiling in your direction. And for a moment, yes, there is something. A warmth, a validation. The world sees you now. The world acknowledges what you have done. But then the room empties. The voices fade into hallways, into cars, into their own lives. And you are left with yourself again. Just you. And a silence that wasn't there before. Or perhaps it was always there. Only now you can hear it. The mind rushes in to fill the space. It says, this is fulfillment. It says you have arrived. It names the feeling, wraps it in language, places it on a shelf marked success. But the heart is slower to speak. Listen carefully, the heart knows something the mind refuses to see. That beneath the ceremony, beneath the congratulations and the new title and the momentary shine, there is a strange hollowness, not loud, not painful even, just absent, like biting into fruit and finding it tasteless. You try to hold on to the feeling of achievement. You replay the moment in your mind, the announcement, the recognition, the proof that you are enough. But each replay feels a little thinner, a little less convincing. The memory begins to lose its color, like a photograph left too long in sunlight. And then, almost immediately, the restlessness begins. A quiet stirring, a small voice that says, what's next? The body hasn't even settled into rest, and already the mind is scanning the horizon for another mountain, another goal, another reason to feel this way again, or perhaps for the first time truly. Just watch it now, how the celebration is always brief, how the satisfaction slips through your fingers like water, no matter how tightly you try to hold it, how even in the moment of triumph, there is already a shadow creeping in from the edges, a sense that this too will pass, that this too is not it. The mind has a phrase, I will be happy when, and you have lived inside that phrase for so long. When I finish school, when I get the job, when I reach this level, this recognition, this amount, when the world sees me the way I want to be seen. But each when arrives, and the happiness is brief. A flicker, not a flame. You begin to suspect something. A suspicion that feels dangerous, almost heretical. That perhaps the mind's idea of enough is a horizon that moves as you walk toward it. That the finish line is painted on air. Success feels heavy, my friend. Not in the way you imagined it would, not the weight of satisfaction, of completion, but a different heaviness, the weight of maintenance, of protecting what you have gained, of defending your position, the weight of expectation, your own and everyone else's, and beneath that weight something else, an emptiness that has no name, a feeling that the door you thought would open has only revealed another door behind it. And behind that one another and another. You sit in rooms now that once seemed unreachable. You speak with people who once seemed untouchable. And the strangeness of it, they are just people. The rooms are just rooms. The achievement is just a fact, a line on paper, a memory already fading. The contrast becomes sharper. What you thought you wanted and what you feel now that you have it. The gap between them is almost comic if it weren't so disorienting, like traveling a great distance to meet someone you've loved from afar, only to discover they're a stranger. And in that gap, something stirs. not yet clear, not yet formed, but present. A question without words, a longing without direction. It hides beneath the surface of your days, beneath the meetings and the emails and the next goals being set. You sense it most in quiet moments, when the distraction stops, when the doing pauses, when you are alone with yourself and the achievement cannot speak anymore, cannot justify, cannot fill the space. The mind insists just one more milestone, one more proof, one more applause. Then you will feel it, then you will know. But something deeper knows better. Stay with me. It knows that the seeking itself is the trap, that the idea of arrival is the very thing that keeps you moving, restless, never landing. It knows that what you are looking for is not at the next peak or the one after that, but its shape remains hidden, unnamed, unknown, waiting behind all the noise of achievement. You wake one morning and the question is already there, not loud, not demanding, just present, like breath. What am I really seeking? It arrives without invitation, this question. It doesn't announce itself or wait for permission. It simply surfaces, quiet and persistent, beneath the noise of your daily movements. You pause. For a moment you consider the obvious answers, the promotion you've been working toward, the recognition that still feels just out of reach, the next achievement, the next validation, the next proof that you are moving in the right direction. But even as you name these things, something feels incomplete. The promotion, is that really it? Or is the promotion just a form, a shape that represents something else? Something you cannot quite name, cannot quite touch with language. Just watch how the wanting never stops at the object itself. When you desired the job, it wasn't really the job, it was what the job would mean, what it would say about you, how it would make you feel. And when you got the job, the feeling lasted only briefly before dissolving into ordinary days, ordinary tasks, ordinary dissatisfaction. The trophy on the shelf, beautiful for a week, then invisible. The recognition, sweet for a moment, then forgotten by everyone, including yourself. These are only reflections, shadows cast by something deeper, something that refuses to be captured in form. The question pulses beneath everything now, beloved soul. You can feel it while sitting in meetings, while checking messages, while celebrating small victories that feel strangely flat. It brushes against your awareness like mist, present but intangible, real but impossible to hold. What am I really seeking? You try to answer it directly. You sit with it, you think about it. But the harder you grasp, the more it dissolves. Like trying to hold water in your fist, the tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Perhaps the question doesn't want an answer. Perhaps it is not that kind of question. Listen carefully. You begin to notice something else. A dissonance, a subtle discord between what you desire and who is desiring, between the goal and the one reaching for it. As if there are two movements happening simultaneously, the movement towards something and the awareness of that movement. And in that awareness, a strange space opens. The chasing continues. The striving doesn't stop. But now there is someone watching the striving, someone noticing the patterns, the repetition, the endless cycle of wanting and getting and wanting again. Who is that someone? The mind rushes to claim ownership. I am the one watching. I am aware of my seeking. But even that feels like another layer, another story the mind tells itself to maintain control. The question doesn't settle. It lingers. It follows you through your days like a shadow you cannot shake, like a companion you never invited but who walks beside you anyway. Sometimes you forget it completely, hours pass, days even, where you are fully absorbed in the doing, the achieving, the moving forward. But then a quiet moment arrives, a pause between tasks, a stillness before sleep, and there it is again, waiting patiently. What am I really seeking? You begin to see how the answer always seems to live just beyond the next accomplishment, how the mind projects fulfillment onto the future, onto the thing you don't yet have. When I reach that, then I will know, then I will feel complete. But you have reached things before, my friend, many things, and the completion never came. The knowing never arrived. Only a brief satisfaction, followed quickly by the familiar restlessness, the familiar hunger. The question expands now, not as curiosity, not as intellectual inquiry, but as something alive, something breathing. It becomes less about finding an answer and more about living with the question itself, allowing it to be there, unresolved, open. There is a fear in this, the fear that if you stop seeking, if you stop chasing, if you allow the question to simply exist without resolution, then what? What would be left? Who would you be without the constant movement towards something? But the question doesn't respond to fear. Stay with me, it simply remains. Patient, quiet, following you even when you run from it. Present even when you bury yourself in work, in distractions, in the next goal and the next and the next. Beneath all striving, it pulses, unnamed, unanswered. A silent companion walking beside you, waiting for nothing. You did not choose this, my friend. Long before you had words, the shaping began. Hands guiding you, voices praising you, eyes watching you. And in that watching, something took root. A sense of what is good, what is worthy, what deserves love. The applause came early, when you performed well, when you behaved correctly, when you made them proud. And in those moments something warm flooded through you, a feeling of being seen, of mattering, of existing in a way that counted. You learned quickly. The patterns embedded themselves so deeply you forgot they were patterns at all. They became simply the way things are, the way the world works, the way you must be. Listen carefully. Society does not announce its conditioning. It does not hand you a manual and say, these are the rules, these are the paths, this is what you must desire. It whispers, it suggests, it shapes through 1,000 tiny moments, none of them dramatic, all of them effective. A glance of approval here, a word of praise there, a silence when you disappoint, a smile when you conform, and slowly, invisibly, your wants become their wants. You begin to notice it now, this weight, not because it suddenly appeared, but because something has shifted in your awareness. An achievement arrived, the one you worked so hard for, and in its arrival, a strange emptiness was exposed. The weight was always there, pressing upon the chest, shaping your breath, determining your direction, but unnoticed, like air, like gravity. Just watch how the mind has molded itself, how it has taken the shape of approval, bent itself around the contours of recognition, arranged its desires according to what brings validation from the outside. You want the promotion, but is it yours, this wanting? Or does it belong to the voices that told you success looks like titles, like climbing, like visible achievement? You crave recognition, but from where does this craving come? Is it born from within, or planted there by a world that measures worth through the eyes of others? The patterns begin to whisper now, beloved soul. You see them in small moments. How you adjust your words in conversation, seeking approval. How you curate your image, your presentation, the story you tell about yourself. How you measure your days not by what you felt, but by what you accomplished, what others noticed, what can be named and counted. The choreography reveals itself. A dance you have been performing for so long, you forgot you were dancing. Steps learned in childhood, refined through years, executed with such precision that they feel like choice, like freedom, like your own authentic movement. But something is watching now, something that stands slightly apart from the dance, observing the patterns, feeling the weight that presses down, noticing how exhausting it is to constantly perform, to constantly seek, to constantly mold yourself into shapes that earn love. The weight is subtle, pervasive. It lives in glances, the way you search faces for signs of approval or disappointment. It lives in words, the ones you speak and the ones you swallow, calculated for effect. It lives in silence, the spaces where you dare not express what truly moves in you, for fear it will not be acceptable, will not be understood, will not earn the validation you have learned to crave. And yet, my friend, you do not resist, not because you are weak, not because you are unaware, but because the weight has become familiar. It is woven into the fabric of your daily existence. To resist would require first seeing it clearly, and for so long it has been invisible. The water the fish swims in, never questioning, never noticing. But in this noticing, something shifts, not dramatically, not with revelation or sudden freedom, just a quiet awareness, a recognition that the definitions of success you carry are not entirely your own, that the chest feels tight because it holds so many expectations that were never examined, never chosen, never questioned. The patterns whisper louder now. They show you how approval became oxygen, how praise became nourishment, how recognition became the measure of your worth. And in each moment of seeking, in each glance toward the mirror of other people's eyes, the weight presses down a little more. Stay with me. You begin to see the strange beauty of it, how perfectly you learned, how seamlessly you adapted, how the mind took the shape society offered and wore it so completely you called it yourself. The choreography continues, the dance goes on, but now there is someone watching, someone noticing the steps, someone feeling the weight, and in that noticing, something unnamed stirs. Victory arrives, beloved soul, and it tastes like dust. You expected something else, a fullness, a completion, the culmination of all those hours, all that effort, all that sacrifice, finally crystallizing into a moment that would justify everything. But what comes instead is a shadow, not darkness exactly, not despair, just a thinness, a translucence, as if the triumph itself is see-through and behind it you can glimpse something that was always there, waiting. The celebration happens around you, voices congratulating, faces smiling, the rituals of success unfolding as they should, and you perform your part, the gratitude, the humility, the joy. You say the right things, you wear the right expression, but inside a quiet void pulses. Listen carefully. It is not that the achievement means nothing. It is not that the work was wasted or the goal unworthy. It is something more subtle, more disquieting. The presence of an absence, a gap between what was promised and what is delivered. The mind rushes to fill this void with explanations. Perhaps this wasn't the right goal. Perhaps you need to aim higher. Perhaps the real fulfillment lies just beyond this victory, in the next one, the bigger one, the one that will finally satisfy. But something knows better. The comparison begins almost immediately. Just watch it. How the mind places your achievement next to others. How it measures, evaluates, finds your victory lacking when set against someone else's greater triumph. Or how it inflates your success, using it to feel superior, separate, special. Either way, the victory cannot stand alone. It needs context. It needs to mean something beyond itself. And in that need, the hollowness deepens. The expectations arrive too, my friend, the ones you didn't anticipate. Now that you have reached this place, you must maintain it, defend it, live up to it. The achievement becomes a weight, not a release, a standard you must now meet again and again. You remember the striving, how alive you felt in the chase, how clear everything seemed when you were moving towards something. The purpose, the direction, the sense that each day mattered because it brought you closer. And now, having arrived, the structure collapses. What do you move toward now? What gives shape to your days? The goal that organized your energy, your time, your very sense of self, it is achieved, complete, finished. And in its completion a strange emptiness opens. The success reflects something back to you, but not what you expected. Not your being, not your wholeness, not the fulfillment you imagined. It reflects your absence. Stay with me, what is not yet fulfilled, what you have not yet become. All the parts of yourself you neglected while chasing this one thing. All the experiences you postponed, all the relationships you let fade, all the moments you missed because your eyes were fixed on the horizon. The mirror shows not what you gained, but what you lost along the way. And it shows something else, the contours of longing itself. How the shape of your desire was never really about this particular achievement. How the wanting was always pointing towards something deeper, something that cannot be captured in titles or trophies or recognition. The hollow space is not frightening, not really. It doesn't threaten you, it doesn't demand anything, it simply is. A quiet presence, like an empty room in a house you thought was full. You feel it, you pause in it, but you do not reach for it. Because what would reaching mean? How do you grasp emptiness? How do you fill a void that seems to exist not because something is missing, but because something was never there in the first place? The disquiet settles in your chest, beloved soul, not heavy, not painful, just present. A subtle residue, like the aftertaste of something that promised sweetness, but delivered only the memory of sweetness. You begin to see how the chase itself leaves this residue. Every pursuit, every goal, every moment of striving towards something you believe will complete you. The very act of chasing creates the hollow that follows victory. Because in the chasing you are always elsewhere, always in the future, always not here, not now, not enough. And when you finally arrive, you bring that not enough with you. It doesn't disappear with achievement, it cannot. Because it was never about what you were chasing, it was about the chasing itself. The pattern, the belief that fulfillment lives somewhere other than here, someone other than you, somewhere other than now. The hollow space waits. It has always been waiting. Through every victory, every defeat, every moment of reaching and grasping, and finally holding what you sought. It waits not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Not as emptiness to be filled, but as emptiness to be seen, to be felt, to be known. Just watch it, my friend. The shadow that accompanies every triumph. The void that pulses beneath every celebration. The absence that reveals itself in the very moment of presence. It is simply there, always present, always waiting. There is a rhythm to it, beloved soul, a dance that began so long ago you cannot remember its first steps. Wanting and lacking, reaching and missing, grasping and releasing, back and forth, back and forth. You feel it most clearly after a success. The momentary satisfaction, sweet and brief, and then, almost before you can taste it fully, a new desire awakens. Something else to want, something else to reach for, something else that promises to fill the space that never seems to stay filled. Each achievement becomes a doorway to the next wanting, not because you are greedy, not because you are broken, but because this is the rhythm, this is the dance. One step forward into having, one step back into lacking. Just watch how desire slips through your fingers like what? You hold it for a moment, the thing you wanted, finally yours. The relationship, the recognition, the milestone, and for that moment there is a sense of arrival, of completion, of rest. But the water doesn't stay. It flows through your grasp, leaving only wetness behind, only the memory of holding something. And almost immediately the hands open again, reaching for the next stream, the next promise, the next thing that will surely, finally stay. The push and pull becomes constant, my friend, a silent tension that animates your days, the forward motion that never finds rest, always towards something, always away from something else, never simply here in the space between wanting and having. Listen carefully, it is neither good nor bad, this dance. It is not a flaw to be corrected, not a problem to be solved, it simply exists. Like breathing, like the tide moving in and out, a fundamental rhythm of being human, of being alive, of being caught in time and form. But in observation, something shifts. You begin to see the pattern, not just once, but repeatedly. The same loop, played out with different objects, different desires, different promises, the mind reaching forward, the heart following, the brief touch of satisfaction, the inevitable dissolution, the reaching forward again, a subtle loop that guides everything, your choices, your energy, your sense of purpose and meaning, all of it organized around this dance, this rhythm of wanting and lacking, moving and never arriving. And within this movement, something strange occurs. The self becomes both witness and dancer. You are performing the steps, still wanting, still reaching, still caught in the forward motion. But simultaneously something is watching, noticing the pattern, seeing the dance from outside the dance. Who is watching? The question arises, but finds no easy answer, because the one who watches is also dancing, and the one who dances is also watching. They are not separate, yet they are not the same. You feel yourself caught in the quiet theater of it all. The stage is your life. The performance is constant. Wanting arises like an actor entering from the wings. You notice it, this wanting. You feel its pull, its urgency, its promise. And then, perhaps, letting go happens. Not through your effort, not through your decision, but simply as part of the dance itself. The desire fades, the wanting releases. Not because you controlled it, but because it moved through you like weather, like a season passing. Stay with me, there is no control here. That is what makes it disorienting. You cannot manage the dance, cannot choreograph it, cannot decide when to want and when to release, when to grasp and when to let flow. The rhythm has its own intelligence. It moves through you, not from you. And in recognizing this, a strange relaxation becomes possible. Not the relaxation of resolution, but the relaxation of surrender. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to the dance itself. The wanting continues. New desires emerge. The heart reaches forward. The mind projects fulfillment onto the future. This does not stop. Perhaps it cannot stop. Perhaps it is not meant to. But the relationship to it changes, beloved soul. When you see the pattern, when you feel the rhythm, when you recognize yourself as both witness and dancer, the grip loosens, not through your effort to loosen it, but through the simple act of seeing clearly. The dance goes on, desire and discontent, moving together like partners who have rehearsed for lifetimes, and you, caught in the movement, yet somehow also outside it, performing the steps yet watching the performance, without control, without solution, without end, just the dance itself, continuing, the rhythm pulsing, the theater never closing, and in this recognition, something that cannot be named begins to breathe. You sit with it now, my friend, not trying to change it, not trying to stop it, just sitting with the chasing itself, this unending striving that has colored every moment of your life. The stillness arrives, not because you created it, not because you achieved it, but because in the observation itself, a space opens, a quiet mirror that reflects without distortion, without judgment, without agenda. And in that mirror you see the mind's habitual loops, how it moves always forward, how it projects always onto the future, how it evaluates, always comparing what is with what could be. The patterns so familiar they have become invisible, like the hum of electricity you stop hearing because it never stops. But now you hear it. Listen carefully. There is no judgment in this hearing. You are not looking at the chase in order to condemn it, to fix it, to transcend it. You are simply watching, the way you might watch clouds moving across the sky, or water flowing in a stream, with interest perhaps, with curiosity, but without the need to intervene. The chasing continues. Even as you watch it, it continues. The mind still reaches forward. The heart still pulses with wanting. The body still moves through its days, driven by goals and purposes and the habitual momentum of striving. But something is different now. In the noticing, the patterns lose their grip, not through effort, not through discipline or practice or spiritual technique, but through gentle recognition, through the simple act of seeing clearly what has always been there, hidden in plain sight. Just watch how it happens, beloved soul. A desire arises, and before you are swept into it, before you are lost in the planning and the pursuing and the imagining, there is a moment, a space, a breath of awareness that says, this is desire, this is the pattern, this is the dance beginning again. And in that recognition, the automaticity breaks, not completely, not permanently, but for a moment, the grip loosens, the compulsion softens, the chase appears as it is, not as truth, not as necessity, but as pattern, as habit, as one possibility among many. The chase is not eradicated. Stay with me, this is important to understand. The watching does not destroy the wanting, does not remove the striving, does not transcend the human experience of desire and pursuit. It simply allows it to appear as it is. Like clouds passing across a silent sky. The sky doesn't fight the clouds, doesn't try to push them away or hold them in place. It simply allows them to move through, to be present, to pass. And you in your watching become like that sky. The wanting comes, you see it, the striving arises, you notice it, the chasing continues, you observe it. But you are no longer only the clouds, you are also the space through which they move. Something recognizes that wanting is not a problem, not a flaw to be fixed, not a weakness to be overcome, not an obstacle to enlightenment or peace or fulfillment. It is a rhythm of consciousness itself, my friend, a pulse that carries its own depth, its own mystery, part of the texture of being a life, of being human, of being caught in this strange experience of existence. The judgment falls away, not because you work to remove it, not because you transcended it, but because in the clear seeing, judgment has no ground to stand on.